Hi guys, so I'm just going to make a quick video to address using Chat GPT to help you revise for upcoming English language and English literature examinations. I'm making this video because I know a number of you are already using Chat GPT to enhance your revision, and I want to make certain that you're using it in a way that's going to benefit you and not hinder you. There are two things I want to make you aware of before we start this video. The first is that ChatGPT is currently in sort of like a piloting phase, and therefore any information that you enter into it may be collated by those individuals who are working to create it to ascertain how successful it's being. As part of that, of course, it does mean that ChatGPT has some limitations. And so occasionally it may produce inaccurate or incorrect information that can mislead you. Therefore, you must make sure that any information you get from it, you verify to be certain that it's okay to use. And then also a reminder that if you were intending to use ChatGPT to complete a piece of coursework for you, a piece of controlled assessment, to write an exam answer that you intended to then memorize and rewrite, you must not do that. Anything that is not written by yourself is liable to be considered plagiarism, and there are even some computer softwares that can detect whether or not a piece of writing has been completed by a robot, which essentially AI is, or a human. Therefore, you should only be using this as a revision device and a revision resource, and not as a way to create work for you. So there are lots of ways that you can use Chat GPT to help you revise, and I'm just going to go through a few of those. Firstly, you can use it to summarize a lot of information. Now, it may be that you've got a mountain of notes that you want it to summarize and give you the key points. If that's the case, you'd want to copy and paste or type that directly into the message box. However, if you want it to summarize, let's say, the main events of Macbeth, we can just type that in. So please summarize the main events of Macbeth. Now you can see I've typed that in, and now it's giving me a huge amount of information about Macbeth. Now you can see that I asked it a rather general question, so it's telling me absolutely everything that's happening. Now you can also see that this isn't really telling me the main events in a sequential order. It's simply telling me a huge amount of information about Macbeth. So if I type in, please provide me a summary of the major events in Macbeth in chronological order, it should now provide me with a more accurate picture. So here you can see that it's now telling me exactly what happens in the order that it happens. Now I can drill down into this information further. So let's say I need to know more about the witches. I could ask for, give me a summary of the scenes that include the witches. So again, I'm being far more specific. This time it's giving me the act and scene references for those key characters. So now let's assume that I want even more specific information about the witches. I might ask it, why are the witches so important in the play Macbeth? Now, that's going to give me quite a long list of information. I want to be more specific, so I'm going to include, please include information about the context surrounding Macbeth, especially connected to James first. Now, hopefully, by providing that more detailed question, that more specific prompt, the information that it's going to provide me is again going to be more specific. And so here you can see in the second point that it mentions the divine right of kings. It talks about the 17th century. You can also see that in point 3, it's telling me about King James I's fascination with it. Now, I can take all of this information and it's giving me an awful lot. Now, I might think, well, how am I going to remember those key points? So I'm going to take that text that it's already written for me. I'm going to copy it down here, and I'm then going to ask it to summarize the information. Summarize the following information. And so now you can see that it's giving me a much shorter piece of information, highlighting the key bits of information that I'm going to be able to create. Now I'm going to show you how you can use it to ask you a multiple choice question. So again, let's copy and paste this information that we've got. I'm going to say, please create a multiple choice question on the following. And you can see it's taken that information and it's given me a multiple choice question. I'm going to put in C because it's King James I, I believe. And it tells me that the answer is correct. So you can see that it's a really powerful tool. It can help you get a lot of information. It can also help you with planning. So I might say, suggest an essay plan for the importance of social class in an inspector calls. And then you can see here, it's going to give me information as to how I could structure my response. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to see this point here where it talks about Eva Smith and Daisy Renton. So I'm going to say here, can I have 5 key quotes about Eva Smith? And then it should give me 5 key quotes. Now, those 5 key quotes about Eva Smith are not necessarily going to help me answer that question about social class. So I need to be more specific. So I'm going to say, can I have key quotes about Eva Smith and social class? And again, by doing that, it's going to provide me with more specific quotations. Now, this has provided me with a good opportunity actually to show you an example of it being slightly inaccurate. So if we look at point 3 here, it says she was young and pretty and warm-hearted and intensely grateful act 2. Now here it says the inspector's description of Eva Smith, except of course we know that it's not the inspector who says this quotation, it is in fact Gerald. So although the quotation is useful, we need to verify that piece of information. And that's why we can't simply rely on Chat GPT to do everything for us. It's why we've got to drill down and verify the information. Now, you can also use Chat GPT to create more memorable revision strategies. So I could say, please turn these key events into a wrap. Now, it may be that I'm not giving it a specific enough brief here because it's actually taking the events of Macbeth. Basically, the more information that you provide to ChatGPT, the better the information back you're going to get. Let's take the power and conflict poetry. If I said, how how does tissue and checking out my history, checking out me history, show the power of people, then hopefully it's going to give me a response. Now you can see that it's not being too specific because the actual prompt that I put in wasn't great. It's telling me that they do things in different ways, but then it is going on to give me a little bit more information. Now, if I were to say, summarize this as 5 bullet points, summarize this information about, so I don't want it to go back to Macbeth, about tissue and checking out me history as 5 bullet points. Again, it should give me a much better chunk of information that's going to be much easier for me to test myself on and to remember. So basically, guys, you can use this as a really effective way to support your understanding, but it isn't going to replace the revision that you do. So you need to make sure that you have a look at our English department top tips for using Chat GPT to enhance your study. Anyway, I hope that little video has been helpful.